Great, amazing morning to you. It's a little bit after top of the hour, 8 o'clock. You're officially tuned in to Coffee and Conversation with you, with Collette. For those of you who are continuing from the 7 o'clock hour over into the 8 o'clock hour, you know that we've been discussing what I believe is where are the black men. How do we raise our children in communities in these days and times that our black men are absent? And so, for those of you who are just joining us, that's where we're going to take the conversation. And of course, it's our open segment as well. So there are a couple other items that I'm going to throw in if we get there. But all the lines are lit, and it seems like we're in now really getting to the truth of what it is. So right before the break, Brother Tyrone gave some historical data about jobs in this market, what it looked like when welfare came into the communities, that I believe he was implying that systematically push black men out of households. And so I asked, then is that the excuse that we're given for why black men have not raised black children? Why if we weren't in the household, then you still could raise your child. And it wasn't an issue of money. Because if the government was taking care of giving the lady money, you could still have some kind of engagement to help raise the child. And I had to present that it has to be more than that, because my dad became disabled when I was 2. And so in our formative years, he didn't have the monies to be able to do what needed to be done to take care of us. That was my mother being employed as an educator and not missing a beat on the sacrifices of taking care of her children, even though my brother was still living with my dad. And so, but the best nuggets and the best way to think and reading and our love for literature and our love for thinking and assessment and analysis came from my dad. So it was more than a paycheck. I used to tell him that all the time when I came of age. I'm like, you don't get it. You couldn't have ever had enough money to give us that would have equipped us the way that you equipped us by giving us the time. And the conversation was worth more money than you could ever imagine that you could hand over to us. And so I'm presenting today that it has to be more than that. The clip that we saw with Ayana in the first segment was how to teach a boy how to be a man. The young man didn't say anything about money. He said, I didn't have a role model. I didn't know who to be. So I got another 3-minute clip that I want to show to us, and then we're going to go to the lines because all the lines are lit. I'm going to make sure I get everybody in, and thank you so much for your patience. But it's another 3-minute clip about addressing absent fathers that I want us to take a look at. So let's look at the clip.
Men, you throw in incarceration rates, you throw in the unemployment rates, and you're saying there's just not enough black men.
Well, there are not enough black men for all of the college-educated black women in particular that have the type of husbands that they want to have.
The type that they want to have. Now, I put this out, and we had this conversation yesterday, and a lot of people were chiming in, and I decided to ask for questions from viewers. And one of the questions, simply put, is, do black women deserve better than what black men have to offer? That seems like a very heavy question there, but is that essentially what it is? Do we not measure up to the quality of black women right now?
That's really a great way to put it, and I will admit that I usually think about it from the other perspective, which is that is it fair to ask black women to sacrifice their own happiness on the altar, as it were, of black men's struggles? And
okay,
I think not.
What is that?
I think not.
Okay, what's that sacrifice necessarily when we're talking about, and I asked you this question yesterday, is it always marrying down if the person you're marrying doesn't make as much money or have the same level of education? Could be a good guy.
Yeah, he could be a good guy, and lots of relationships work across classes, that's true. But it's also the case that for everyone, not simply for the women, but for the men as well, having a spouse who is matched to you educationally in terms of your outlook, your aspirations, your experiences, that's a positive thing. So it's actually not a great thing for the wife or the husband if they're in a mismatched relationship.
All right, and we know a lot of conversations were started yesterday because of this topic, and I had one of these conversations at my house with Mrs. Holmes, and one of these things that keeps coming up is how do you, and the word I think my wife used was reprogram, if you will, black women, because you're suggesting they need to be open to dating outside of their race. But, you know, a lot of black women just like brothers. They like the black man.
Right.
So if you're just not attracted naturally, why have them give up on finding a black man?
Right, that's a great question. And the issue, the way I think of that is that women have been asked to carry a great load. Black women shoulder a lot of the burden, in short, of black men's struggles. And I am asking women to put the burden down. Many women think that they're attracted to black men. They are attracted to black men. But attraction itself is complicated. And one of the things that I discovered in the course of writing this book is that there's a whole host of fears and desires and anxieties that animate black women's attraction to black men.
Okay, and on that, though, I got another question from a viewer, Judy, sent in and said, well, it sounds like you're saying, why should black women give up the good fight? You know, you're not telling them to take on a project of fixing a man necessarily, but why just give up on black men?
Right, that is another great question. I actually am asking black women to give up the good fight because the fight hasn't been successful. The fight has not been successful. This is what a friend of mine, Carolyn Edgar, calls a Negro Improvement Project, which is what a lot of black women undertake, and often the results are not so great. So the strategy has been counterproductive. It doesn't help African Americans for us to have black men and black women locked in bad relationships and raising children in households where the parents quarrel and ultimately divorce. Well, that's not a win for anyone.
It is law professor Ralph Richard Banks. The book is called Is Marriage for White People? I think it went on sale on the 2nd this week, and it has started a conversation that I'm sure will continue.
So that was just another clip. I wanted to present that to us on this morning. Did you get that? So I added that piece. Is marriage just for white people? A black woman then, to Brother Tyrone's point, that guess what? If I'm trying to work and I'm trying to hold this together and then you can't be gainfully employed and I'm still trying to do my part, and regardless of the system or not, that we're just unequally yoked. And so I don't have to make your struggle my struggle. Author Ralph Richard Banks suggests that black women are consistently, and I quote, sacrificing your happiness on the altar of the black man's struggle. Sacrificing your happiness on the altar of the black man's struggle. Do black women deserve better than what black men have to offer? Let's just throw that in the mix. Thanks for your patience. Great, amazing morning to you.
Good morning, Queen.
Good morning, King.
You know, Queen, excellent subject.
Thank you.
But, you know, this subject, we won't be able to solve it in a few minutes. No. This would take years.
Yes.
And, Queen, you know, we would have to go back to the root cause and why we are even having a conversation in 2018. You know, and it goes back, when you would have to go back to the scientists who set this world up.
Okay.
And what happened to our fathers and our mothers in that process. You imagine during slavery, a mother had to be overprotected with a son, because if the son rose up with the oppressor, he would be killed in such a way. So she was always overprotected of the male.
Okay.
But the scientists that actually orchestrated it knew that in the future we will be having this problem in 2018.
Okay.
In other words, it's all been engineered. And our roads, as far as, you know, it's like, you know, we say man, but do we truly have an understanding of what a man and what a woman truly is in the eyesight of God? Do we truly understand? See, because the only one that can make a man, from our understanding, is God.
Okay.
And when you think about what we have been made into, they made Negroes, colored peoples, and the other N-word. This is a product of this world. Negroes, colored people, and the other N-word that we don't like to use.
Okay.
And we don't want to face that. Far as, you know, you think about in the beginning, there were instructions given to Adam.
Okay.
And his instruction was subdue everything.
Okay.
Replenish. In other words, build a world.
Okay.
We are people that are working to build somebody else's world, and we don't even realize it. You know, when we talk about male and you talk about female, they are roles, each one of us. You know, you have Christ, you have man,
Okay.
and then you have the woman.
All right.
And they have reversed that. There's I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Wesley Muhammad,
No.
graduate PhD from the University of Michigan.
Okay.
He did a book called Understanding the Assault on the Black Man, Black Manhood, and Black Masculinity.
Okay.
And this brother did in-depth research where he pulled up a news article in 1930. Headlines. I can't think of the paper right now.
Okay.
But in the headlines, it was showing where they was going to reverse the roles of the male, the man, and the woman in the 1930s. The
Okay.
scientists had a project going, how they was going to reverse the roles of the man and the woman.
So King,
We're
stay there. So
witnessing
King,
it.
stay there
Wait.
for me. Just stay there for a minute. And I hear me, and I appreciate everything that you are bringing to the conversation. We appreciate it. But tell me, what does that have to do with black men not raising their children right now?
What does it have to do with that?
Yes.
We really don't know how. We are in survival mode our own self.
Okay. All right.
We
Now
really
we're getting,
don't
King, now we're
know.
getting somewhere. Thank you. Now we're getting somewhere. You
We
put it out there
really
that the black
don't
man doesn't
know.
know how to raise his children because he is trying
know.
to survive on his own.
We don't know.
Come on.
You know, we're chasing, as we call education,
Okay.
careers. We don't know our roads.
Ah,
Now, if we just sit quietly and maybe watch the nature around us, we look at, understand the robin. Every year comes, builds a nest, lays eggs, feeds the babies.
Right.
Babies get a certain age. Baby must fly,
right.
survive or die. Yep, you know, look at ants. You don't know who's in leadership for the ants. Why? Because everybody's busy. Everybody's working.
Yes.
When you look at a beehive, you don't know who's in charge.
Right.
You know that the female is constantly producing the offsprings, but everybody else is busy, and they're very protective of who? The
Yeah.
female, because she's most important.
Yeah.
There's a scripture in the Bible we need to study, and that's the Bible of Abraham's handmaid, Sarah,
Sarah.
who was without no provisions.
Yeah.
She was out in the wilderness with no help. What did she have to do? She had to turn to God because she was looking to Abraham, but she should have been looking to God
Okay.
for her help.
Ah.
In this condition, we are all in. We're, I mean, we have to look in the mirror, look at ourselves. And, you know, there's another excellent book, Queen, that it's a must for all of them. And it's called Self-Improvement, the Basic for Community Development.
Okay.
Self-improvement, the basis for community development.
You know what? And stay there for a minute, King, because I don't want us to miss this point. And when you were so truthful in making the statement that black men don't know how, it triggered something in me. And I believe that maybe this dynamic of being over-sexualized, that the prowess and the prey boils down in the ability to procreate. And that's where the black man puts his value in. And that, okay, I can conquer this woman, I can impregnate her, and that's my value. And outside of that, I don't know what else to do. Is that where we are now in society? Because
That was our job on the plantation. Our job was only to procreate. Nothing else to do with that.
Nothing else.
And you imagine for hundreds of years, this is what was passed on to us. Our job was just to impregnate you. No feelings, no emotions. Just knock her up, get her pregnant,
Yep.
produce another child for the owners in the plantation or whatever. That was it.
Stay there, King. You stay there. Do you hear where we're going this morning? If indeed we have been socialized to believe that the only role for the black man, that the black man believes that his only role then is to impregnate women to produce offspring for this system. Y'all, you get this? For the system. Back then, it was more workers for the plantation. For the system now, there's going to be more workers for the jails because you're going to be imprisoned because of lack of education, because of lack of the structure. I'm not defined. I don't know who to be. I don't know how to be a man. If I'm raised in a household and I'm only by women, then is it that I'm emasculated? Do I become more feminine in my nature? Do I identify more with women? And then do I believe that I'm not even a man because I don't know what a man looks like? And then at the end of the day, we are in the situation that we're in right now.
Queen, you said it. That's the situation we're in.
Man.
We are like men blind, stumbling everywhere. We're just stumbling. And I mean, it's real.
It's real.
Queen,
it's real.
If God don't intervene in our affairs, we are in trouble. At the rate we are in big, big trouble.
Wow.
Because if we're looking for this world to solve the problem of our illness that we have, it's not going to happen. Sex has become a weapon. It has become a weapon amongst us.
Okay.
They are using this.
Yeah.
They're putting chemicals to push the sex drive. They're doing all kind of stuff. It would just blow us away if we only knew. If we only knew.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're doing all, Queen, they're doing all.
Yeah.
It's really sad and it's painful, really.
Yeah.
The subject is painful.
It is.
In all honesty. It's a painful subject.
It is
when you
painful.
really deal with the truth of it, it's painful.
It is painful.
Because when you begin to find out little things that are going on and people are working to destroy you, you know, it's painful. And when you look at us and we're scratching it because we don't understand.
Yeah.
We don't understand, Queen. We don't understand. I'm a father. I have 4 girls and 1 son.
Okay.
And what the other previous call, the sister talk about their children, and what you have said, I see the difference in my daughters and in my son.
Yeah.
There's a big difference. There's a big difference.
Yes.
My son understand, for some reason, you know, it's almost like your son becomes almost an opposer to the father. Whereas the females, they're with dad. You know, they do everything to try to make dad happy and comfortable.
Yes.
But the son, there's a problem.
Yes.
You know, even though he seems like he's listening, he's not listening to me. And I can tell by his action and the things that he continues to do. And you know, and I have been somewhat of a traveler, and there are things that I have learned in my travel, and I try to give that to my son.
Yeah.
But it's almost like I ain't trying to hear that from you.
Right.
I ain't trying to hear that from you. But my daughters, they would sit and listen and listen and listen.
Yeah.
And I see there's a big difference between the two. There's a big difference. But I have to go back to the root of the problem. Somebody's orchestrating this. They're engineering this on us. And as they say, they put us in the project. This is a project. This is an experiment.
Wow.
We got to see it for what it is.
Yeah.
We got to see what it is. Yeah. Because the man's role, the man carries the ideal. It's in the man.
Yeah.
But he puts the idea in the woman. And in the woman's womb, in total triple darkness, God, in his laboratory, creates the idea of that man. And the woman nurtures it and brings it, you know, for the problems that's necessary. In other words, we need a doctor.
Yeah.
The woman goes in the laboratory. God goes in the woman's laboratory. The woman nurtures all of that by reading certain books to understand that will incline that child to go towards that medical field.
Yeah.
It's all science. It's deep.
It is. King, I appreciate you. We
I love
appreciate
you,
your call.
Queen.
Love you.
You
Thank
have
you
a
so
blessed
much for your
weekend.
truth and
Stay
transparency. You
strong.
as well. Thank you. So everyone, I appreciate it. I think we had a breakthrough. I'm going to go to the line. Then we got another clip we're going to queue up. All the lines are still lit. So I know that you have some conversations that you want to share, and we appreciate that. So thanks for your patience. Great, amazing morning to you. Caller, you there?
Yes, I hope so.
Yes.
You revealing a whole bunch of things to me today.
Okay.
I got to reference myself. I look at myself as one of those long-haired hippies from the '60s, even though I'm black. So my experience going forward with family they're in the past.
Okay.
And when I heard this, the last caller say, black men don't know, it just lit up my eyes, and I said, he's right. And I can make references to why things happening like Tyrone. Maybe they may be helpful, maybe they might not be helpful.
Okay.
I can only speak maybe in that sense.
Okay.
Because whatever. But what I'm looking at nowadays, because out of my relationship with all the children that I have had the blessing to be involved with, whether they're mine or their blended family,
Yeah.
I got one, like you said, that's listening.
Okay.
Listening to whatever. But I got to be cautious about what I say. Be cautious, because, see, what I hear others, or even myself, is if they're listening, you don't want to put fear in their mind.
Okay.
And fear, when I say that, fear, afraid of what's going on, because you can't change yesterday. You can only change, and you have the opportunity to change. That's what I want to put.
Yes.
You can change the future.
Yes.
And your understanding of whether you be a male or a female, what a woman should be, what a man should be.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, you got to put in there. You definitely got to put accents on. You got to know who you are before you can know who you want to be.
Yeah.
And it takes time to even, like I said, I'm a long-haired hippie from the '60s. It took me years to figure out, and I'm still trying to figure out,
Right.
who am I?
Yeah.
And guess what? The reality is that you will pass and still won't know.
Right.
I
Right.
laugh because I'm looking around and I says, you don't believe that.
Yeah.
And that's not, I don't want to leave away from the subject. And also about sex. One thing I don't know what this tube is. Two beings on this planet that has sex for pleasure. It's humans and dolphins.
Okay.
The outcome of sex is children.
Right.
And the consciousness, I don't know what the consciousness of dolphins is, but the consciousness of children, having children, and understanding what it really is. It's not a condemnation.
Mm-hmm.
It reaffirms it. It is a gift. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
It's a gift.
All right.
And when you really look around, everybody doesn't get this gift.
Okay.
What is your responsibility?
Okay.
And when you really understand children and their consciousness,
Yes.
and it's a blank slate,
Yes. Yes.
what is your responsibility?
Yes.
Do you have time?
Yes.
And when do they start? When do they listen? When do they stop listening?
Right.
I'm like you. I'm a fixer. When do you realize that you can't fix everything?
Right. 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 And the truth is, all the other stuff, you really weren't fixing that.
No.
Right. It wasn't you.
Yeah. And
Right.
When you say to yourself,
Yeah.
I have to guide them. Now, if you guide them, you guide them in that place where you got the pimp in the pulpit.
Right.
Oops.
Yeah.
How can you defend against that? I'm not giving you answers.
Right.
I am not giving you answers.
Right.
I've grown up. I don't have the answers.
Okay.
I know who I am. I ain't got the answers. I can tell you about experiences.
Yeah.
But my experiences are not your experience.
Right.
You make the choice going forward. If
Right.
I can leave any of the audiences that you can change, you can choose,
Yeah.
and but it takes. I don't know what it takes. I mean, I know what it takes, but I can't give that to you.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
We
can
respect
talk
that.
about it.
No,
I'm
but
not
I
trying to
believe
give
that
it to
if I
anybody.
can, I think you hit something right on the head. Did you all get what he just said? You can change and you can choose. And I believe that in the change and the choice, you get to your truth. Did you all follow that? You can change and you can choose. And in the midst of those things, your actions show who you are. Let me just say that. It doesn't, you can talk all day and you can have great conversation and it can sound good and all of that stuff. But your actions are your truth. Period. So you can change, then you can choose, and that's an action, and then it becomes your truth. I appreciate your call. We appreciate your call today.
I
Thank you
love
so
you.
much. Love you.
Keep smiling, kid. It's all
Absolutely.
good.
Got to keep it going. I'm going to get another call in. The lines are still all lit. Then I'm going to go to this clip because I think it brings it home. I know I've hit us up with several clips today, but I think it's just appropriate. So thank you so much, and thanks for your patience. Good morning to you.
How you doing?
Amazing. How are you?
You know, I think the biggest problem that we had for years is that the way a person is raised. See, you black women always been a leader, and when you didn't have black women to show men how to dress, how to run the household, and stuff. And the problem is today you don't have that. Now Tyrone Travers is right about when the job situation. He was talking about what happened in 1965.
Yes.
But I found out that when jobs was all over the place and plenty of jobs, some people didn't want to work, period. Because see, a lot of that area, even before you was born, the Vietnam War was going on 30 years, so you had plenty of work out here. It's just some men, it's just some people ain't gonna work if you got a million jobs. I think the problem is how you raise. I can only use my own experience on that because the way my father and mother was. He worked a good job and she worked a good job, and she was the type of woman, was a leader. Believe in education is about your value in your family.
Okay.
Believe in education and teaching your kids. I can only use my personal experience about that. Then you can look at other people's out here. The reason why the situation is so bad because they were never taught nothing. See, if you don't teach the kids nothing, the value of life, what's important,
Yes.
work, and take care of your family, if they just out there to grow up on their own, it ain't gonna never be no success. Regardless of what the white folks do, regardless of what the government do, when it comes to certain programs, sure, it always been tight for blacks, even back in the 50s.
Right.
Okay, if you get laid off on one job, you don't depend on no one thing. You go to something else.
Right.
That's what they did back then.
Right.
If they had to work two jobs,
Right.
they went on to something else.
Right.
And you know, back in those days, they really had to experience racism.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things they had to swallow and to go along with just to keep a roof over their head.
Yes.
So it's just that this modern day and time, the kids are not taught proper value, and they just out there. Now, you do got a lot of men out here that have that attitude, just like now so many guys out there got that thug mentality. The reason why they have that attitude because they never had no love in their life.
Ooh. Wait, I need you to stay right there. And you're a first-time caller, so thank you so much. Did you all get what he just said? I need us to stick a pin right there because the men, majority of the day, have never had love in their lives. Did you all get what he just said? They have not had love in their lives. So if you don't have love, how do you function? Please continue. That's a great point.
Well, see, they just throw them away. You got,
Yep.
and I'm not faulting a lot of women. So I can use my past experience in life,
Yes.
but they ought to be more. They're just like my sister, for example.
Okay.
Okay, when they have problems in their relationships, if their husband went out here and had a kid out of wedlock, they didn't do that. All their kids, that they was married, but their kids are by one man.
Right.
See, they had more respect about it. And I'm going to tell you another thing they didn't do back then. If you was married and you and your wife broke up, even though y'all ain't got no divorce, you couldn't bring no other woman over to their house.
Right.
And you got a lot of that go, oh, this is my woman.
Right.
But if you married, don't bring no other woman over here.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
See, we lost a lot of value and respect when it comes to certain things.
Yes.
And we need, you know, when people talk about time change, we need to go back to the old ways.
Yes. Yes. I absolutely agree. It just seemed like there was some rules of engagement back in the old times, and we stuck by them. This is what it is. This is who we are. This is what we understand it to be. And wherever that disconnect happened, we're living in a chaos right now. Absolutely. And the outcomes are just exactly what we're seeing right now. Oh, I appreciate you.
And these young girls, I'm going to say this because I know your time is short.
Okay.
These young girls out here, if they would carry themselves like you as a lady and grow up, that'll help some of these young guys out here. It really would help them. But see, they got away from that. So you got a lot of women out here, but very few ladies.
Thank you so much. You make a really great point. Let me tell you, and I'm just going to say it, it's rough being a lady. Can I just say that? In this day and age, if I didn't know who I am and walk in the understanding of who I am, and I might live in this world, but I am not of this world, if I didn't have that understanding, I'd be frustrated all day, every day, because everything around me doesn't support being a lady. Everything around me doesn't support walking the way that I walk. Man, that's a great point. Everyone, I want to go to this clip. Thank you so much for your call. I'm going to get all the other lines because now the lines are lit, but I want us to still come full circle. We got one last clip about the importance of what relationships look like and without having fathers in our homes. Let's go to the clip.
Both of you grew up fatherless sons. How were you able to close that gap for yourself, to go on and create a successful life and be a successful dad?
You know, my father would probably say that he was there. In his opinion, he probably still is, though we haven't spoken in years. And he, like many fathers, would say, if you need me, just call me. But to put that on a child is an absurd notion, even a grown child.
Yes.
So,
amen to that.
So for me, it was in absentia. I looked and I said, well, if that's how he's going to get down, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And for me, it is a desire to want never to put a person through the pain that I went through of being in a place where I don't know answers. You know, to soldier through those times when I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. When I'm sitting there and I'm trying to figure out, I work with thousands of kids, but sometimes the ones that in my house confound me. So, like, I don't know. Send them to the school, I'll fix them. Get me at work. I'll have my work clothes on. So for me, it came to, well, I went through, you know, there was a point at which I sat out the same window that everybody sat, waiting for my father to come pick me up when he said he was going to come pick me up, and listen to my mother make up stories as to why he wasn't, and watching her dance the jig to try and figure out what, and I, you know, as an older person, I thought, wow, that must have really hurt her because she probably couldn't stand him either. So we connect on the fact that we were upset with him, and then there was a point where I just stopped giving a damn. You know what, dude, don't come. And then there was another point at which I overcompensated.
Which is where he is now. Yeah.
I overcompensated, and I said, you know, I'm going to do stuff so amazing, so mind-blowing, this cat's going to find me one day. He's going to look up on television and see his boy, and he ain't going to be his boy no more.
Yeah, okay.
I think a lot of the men in this room, and probably a lot of the men listening, had a similar experience. I thought my father was absent simply because he didn't know me. And all I had to do was connect with him. And once I connected, it would be so powerful, he'd be like, oh my God, look what I've been missing. So that lasted a few years before I found out it really wasn't that. He just didn't care Now, this is a terrible thing to say. He just didn't care about me. And so then I tried to figure out, what do you do with that?
And you know that to be true.
I know that to be true. This wasn't an accident, but he just didn't care about me. He had another family. He was with them. I would go there, and I would be my usual wonderful self, and it didn't work. So when Oprah asked the question, so what happened? The thing I understood early on was I had this wonderful fantasy of what I thought a father should be. Every day I try and live out that fantasy for my kids, for my own kids and for other kids. A man who was there, who loves, who will say he loves you, who will show up at everything. All of my kids, you do anything. I don't care how lousy you are. I'm going to be there cheering and rooting because I wanted someone to be there for me. And so I think part of what men can do is they can take this pain that they feel and they can actually say, I'm going to be that great father to some other child, whether it's your own biological child or not, and I'm going to see the joy when I show up.
Give what you didn't have.
Unexpectedly.
Give what
you
you
can
didn't
do
have.
it. You can do it,
what
and
you
it
didn't
matters to young people.
You all know that we're never going to have a conversation that does not include some viable options and some solutions. So I just wanted to bring that in. I love that clip from the master class with Oprah. That was Jeffrey Canada and Dr. Steve Perry, who are educators and fathers. And as you both, you were able to see from their experiences, did not grow up with fathers actively in their lives, shared the truth of their experiences, but then was able, in the consciousness of their truth, to the point of a choice, making a choice, understanding it and making a choice that was an action that I'm going to do something different, that I'm going to be better for this next generation. And I can create the type of reality that I want. So I just wanted us to be able to see that because it is real. We don't all have to stay in this stagnant place where we're just constantly doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So I appreciate your patience. Great, amazing morning to you.
I'd like to add, if you let me, that I agree with the systemic barriers that's causing economically,
Okay.
mentally, spiritually, and the masculinity, the chemical warfare and the psychological warfare, and that they have been successful in destroying the moral values, the destruction of family ties, morals, and values.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it's important that we continue to educate, to liberate in order to navigate and to execute the solutions.
Absolutely.
Thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for adding that. And the truth is, we're very conscious about what this society has done for us. We're very conscious about what is presented to us, what we are led to believe about what our realities are, who we should be, how we should govern ourselves, the truths of who we say we are based on what they say. What did Noam Chomsky say? It's about what they say. And so we've been brainwashed into that. But at some point in our consciousness, I believe I need to go back to what King said, that, quote, change and choose, and then I added, we come to a truth. So we know all of that, but when do we reclaim the simple fact that if we just don't know, we just don't know? That there isn't anything wrong in saying you don't know, but because you don't know, then you take an active role in figuring out what it is that you can find out, so that you can have a different result, not then just still trying to control and manipulate people and change the dynamic to base it on what you believe because you believe that your truth is the only truth. No, ma'am and sir. That is just it for you. That doesn't mean that everyone else is governed by what you believe and think. And if you believe that everyone should be, then maybe that's why you stay isolated on the island that you live on for yourself, because that's not how this world works. And that we'll have different outcomes when we are truthful about where we are, in our challenges, in our dysfunctions, and the simple fact that we don't know. And I believe that the first time caller, he just made a great point, and I think it hit home for me as it did for many of you, that most men don't know how to love. We know the action of how to procreate and the value in showing our strength and our masculinity through our testosterone, but we don't know how to love. And when love is displayed to us and shown to us, because it is so unfamiliar to us, we run. So I appreciate your patience. Great, amazing morning to you. Caller, you there? Great morning.
Oh, I'm a first-time caller also, Collette.
Yay!
And I wasn't
First-time
sure
caller.
if
Thank you.
this is just reserved for men this morning or not.
Yes.
It is?
It's a tremendous morning.
Okay, no, I thought it was reserved for maybe men call-ins.
Oh, no, it's all of us. No,
Okay.
no.
My whole premise, and I realized this probably in my early 20s,
Okay.
that women are really smarter than men anyway. And I think that's based on nature, God, or whomever put us together, however you want to believe it,
Okay.
because women have to raise kids. So we get it early that we have to survive no matter what.
Okay.
I mean, even if you look at the lower form of animals,
Yeah.
and when they go in heat, the male dog, he's going to go and find somebody. Stuff doesn't matter about who the dog is, how she looks, or whatever else.
Right.
They're going to go and relieve themselves.
Yes.
And it's left to that mother to raise that litter, okay?
Yeah.
We see it all the time. And it looks like we've gotten ourselves reduced down to that almost now. I've seen people and lived around people who have multiple fathers for their babies.
Yeah.
They know doggone well. They don't really know the guys that well that they're laying up with.
Yes.
And they have babies, and the guys have no attachment to them. They don't care.
Nope.
You know, you just a one-night screw or whatever, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And so that's where you get a lot of problems with this, too, is that there is no, people don't take time to get to know each other.
Right.
They're just laying up with somebody and having sex and having a great old time, and then when a baby comes, the man doesn't know anything. They don't care about that baby because they don't care anything about the mother.
Right.
Okay, so she's left holding the bag,
Yeah.
and you get all these kids raised up in this kind of environment,
Yes.
children not knowing who their fathers are.
Yes.
And a lot of times they just don't know anything about their family, period.
Yes.
And a lot of the women, only thing they hold them responsible for is a bag of Pampers or some formula, and that's fine.
Right.
Then they move on to the next. So when you get that, this is what's happening now. Look at what we got in society. People killing each other, destroying communities and neighborhoods,
Yes.
not finishing up their education. They don't know anything. You see what I mean? Because it's just a chaotic beginning in life.
Yes.
And so a lot of them don't value life because they don't feel like they're anything. Nobody's been around them, you know. If the mother's out trying to work, and these women will hit a lick, I don't care what.
Yep.
Now, it may not be any jobs, but they find one, they find them.
Thank you.
Okay? And
Yes.
so, because they know they have to survive, and they got to take care of those babies one way or the other.
That's right.
All right?
That's
so
right.
I don't know even really actually what the excuse is for a lot of these guys that there's no jobs. There's always a job. If you want to find one, you can make one.
Come
You know
on.
what I'm saying?
Yes.
But my whole point is this. Somewhere along the line, we dropped the doggone ball, and it has nothing to do with welfare or anything else. It's about taking care of the life that you brought in this world.
Yeah.
And it seems to me, you know, all this morality stuff, the promiscuity and all this, just like the cat in the alley and the dog out there in the alley.
Right.
Just find somebody to lay up with, and if they get pregnant, oh well, too bad. You
Right.
know? It's that kind of mentality now to me. That's what I see.
No, and you make a great point. I think you're absolutely right. We have resorted to the first level of life. That is just exactly where we are right now. So guess what? If I see you, if I like it, and see, women have become astute enough that guess what? Either I've been hurt enough, I understand now what this is going to be, some women, and so now I'm just going to use you for what I believe you can give me because I know what you want from me. It's real simple. Most men function first level, majority of men. And women are smart enough to know that. So if I have to show a couple things to be able to get what I believe that I can get from you in your pursuit of trying to have sex with me, be physical with me, that's what now women have resorted to.
Yeah.
And so if that goes back to what the previous caller said, that then men just walk right back into what their roles were in slavery, was just to impregnate women, to have babies. And then I was having a conversation with a man, and he told me, because he was teasing me about what my history has been. I said, well, the only reason why you can talk about my history is because I'm transparent in my conversations with you. I said, you've never spoken on the relationships that you've had. And he said, well, what makes you think that I've had relationships?
Yeah.
I said, well, because you have children. And he said, no, those weren't relationships. He said, if I would have had, I love my children, but I didn't choose to have my children. I said, but you chose to lay down with their mamas. So if you chose to lay down with their mothers, you thought that you had so much control that you told her that because you didn't want a child, she wasn't going to have one. When she allowed you to lay down with her, Are you kidding me?
Right.
A woman isn't going to give herself to you without having a plan for this. Hello, y'all think y'all so smart and you think you're so in control of everything. No. And so then you get mad at her because she's pregnant, and then you say you didn't want to have the child. So now you don't deal with her, and you don't deal with the child, or you just try to deal with the child and negate her.
And it doesn't work.
And it
just
doesn't work.
So you
Thank
got
you.
all these angry children,
Yes.
female and male.
Yes.
This is why you see all these people shooting and killing each other and all this kind of stuff, and just totally destroying communities.
Yes.
People live in neighborhoods. You've talked about it, Collette. They tear up the house. I don't care if you give them a nice one, they tear it up. They don't care.
Yeah.
Okay, because nobody has told them or taught them anything.
Yes.
Their mothers are out working hard because the fathers are not helping them.
Yep.
Okay? So, you know, you just get kids raising themselves.
Yes.
And it's just a mess. We are in a chaotic catastrophe. We're in a mess now.
Yes.
Just because of the subject you're talking about. And I'm glad you brought it up because it needs to be brought up.
Yes. I just figure every day, you know, I was telling my parents that you can't play things. So you can't play marriage. I'm not going to play community. I'm not going to play church. I can't. It's too serious right now.
It's real.
So either we're going to have the real conversations about where we are, and to the other caller's point, we don't have to have all the solutions. I get that it's a process, but we got to start somewhere. And because I care,
you got to acknowledge.
You got to acknowledge it.
This is
Absolutely.
not normal.
Absolutely.
We're better than this.
We're
as a
better
race of
than
people.
this.
There is no way that this is normal for black folks to be out killing each other like dogs and out here just having babies, again, like dogs in heat. I mean, we have eliminated all of our intellectualism and all the things that we come in here on earth. We're the first people here.
Yes.
The ones who invented probably most of the stuff that we live in with right now.
Yes.
We are a brilliant,
Yes.
spiritual
Yes.
people.
Yes.
I mean, we got all of it, and we just thrown it away for just some basic animalistic behavior.
Yes.
And this is where we are now. We're acting like animals.
We're acting like dressed up animals.
There you go.
Right. And then you
I mean,
wonder
can
why
see
the
same
outcomes.
dynamics out in the alley. If you go out there and see what's going on out there, you'll find them out the alley cats fighting and scarring each other up, trying to kill each other. Dogs jumping the fence, getting another little doggy pregnant, and the dog gets stuck with the babies. I mean, the same old stuff. It's horrible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And everyone, and we're not laughing because it's a joke.
No.
Her analogies and her comparisons are real because you can
Yes.
visualize and you can identify with what she's saying because those are the behaviors that we display. That's literally where we are right now. And it has to be more than that. It has to be more than that.
Because what example is being set for these little babies living in these households? They got to come up the same way. If nobody stops this stuff, it's going to get worse and worse and worse.
Yes.
And it's a horrible thought to think of being a senior citizen under these kids that are coming up, because we all will be. Okay, and they don't care anything about old people, young people, or anywhere in between. It's about, it's me, me, me.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. Because it's going to have an impact on us one way or another.
That's
so
right.
you better either try to effectuate a positive change right now.
Amen.
Because whether it is someone directly related to you or indirectly related to you, it all has an impact on us.
That's right.
If we don't get anything on today, that we are our brothers and sisters' keeper.
Absolutely.
Who we are and who we believe ourselves to be, that is the energy that we put out. And I promise you, if you keep identifying with what they say we are and who they say we should be, then we'll continuously fall down in this cycle of mire and chaos, and which puts us on this first level of life, everybody. And I promise you, I'm committed to you all as I have never been committed before, but it's not going to happen on my watch. Not when you tune into WHBS TV 33 on Thursdays and Fridays.
Going.
It ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen because I love us and we're better than this. I appreciate your calling. Thank you so much for calling in. Have an amazing day. Everyone, our time is up. All the lines are still lit. I know that this is a conversation. I'm glad. I'm glad that outside of the political stuff, and we can always talk about that, but it's something deeper. And so, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful again for the life and legacy of our own Queen, Aretha Franklin, because of this experience and her eulogy has created this conversation that it allows us the opportunity to choose, to be able to look at where we are, to be able to have the real conversations about what we know and what we don't know, and then say, now, what do we do with it? And truth and love, what do we do with it? So everyone, look, our time is up. I apologize for everyone who's still on the lines. All the lines are still lit. I apologize that I missed you. If you all want to, we can continue this conversation in the onset of the first hour on next Thursday. I can add some other components to it as well, because the truth is this shapes our conversation. It shapes our narrative. Everything else that we do outside of all of this, political, whatever, our consumer patterns, whatever it is, our employment practices, how we look at education, everything that's happening around us is based on our understanding of who we believe ourselves to be. That's really the truth. And if you're going to really invest in who you are so that you can live in your authentic self, which then mirrors what you attract to you and what you give through your actions, not just your words. So I appreciate you. I appreciate our 2 hours is up. We never seem that we have enough time, but I know we're going somewhere. And I know that we're better because of it. If you all don't have anything to do on this evening, you're more than welcome. I'm extending a date to you. You can come out and hang out with me on tonight at the Dabo Sheffield Center, 12048 Grand River Avenue at 6 p.m. We're going to have dinner. The documentary for this evening is King in the Wilderness, as we talked on this show, chronicling the last year and a half of Dr. King's life, as we talked about Tavis Smiley's book. But this documentary shows how folks left him to the side, how they walked away from him, how they left him abandoned and isolated. And then we're going to have a conversation. Great dinner on tonight. Of course, it is free. You are more than welcome to be my guest on tonight, and I'll facilitate the conversation afterwards, because we're going to be better. That's who we are to each other, and I promise to continue to be that to you. So make today amazing, and for those of you who I'll see tonight, I look forward to it. If not, have an awesome weekend, and look forward to seeing you next Thursday. Until then.